program. And for the first part, may we call on Dr. Mundita Eslim, the chair of our working group. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Good morning to everyone. Distinguished guest, our keynote speaker, who will be properly introduced later. Our distinguished colleagues and delegates from the ASEAN member states who are here, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. I think we have the presence of most of us. Of course, we miss our colleagues from Brunei and Malaysia who will not be able to join us for this meeting, but of course we always welcome their inputs eventually after we have been able to come up with the outcome of our working group event. It is with great pleasure to see all of you, to see each other again after the 17th meeting in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, exactly 1 year ago today, in May 11 to 12, 2016. We especially thank the government of Myanmar, who actually gave way to the Philippines, hosting this year of the 18th meeting of the AWGCME, as the country aims its momentum as the new chair of the ASEAN. Of course, we look forward to holding the next meeting in Myanmar, most probably next year. We also especially welcome our colleagues from Laos PDR. Although a landlocked state, in this 18th meeting, we recognize their presence, as this reinforces the view that we are indeed connected and not isolated. Despite the group as a coastal and marine environment group, we all know that there is a land and water connection that needs to be highlighted as well. So this is exactly the theme that this leadership desires to promote: integrated coastal management, an integrated watershed management approach that highlights the connection of the highlands to the oceans or the water. Whatever it is called, one message across: this is everything is interconnected. From this hotel, you will be able to see the Manila Bay. For example, this bay is a catchment basin of 36 watersheds from three regional areas in the Philippines. The management of the bay is challenged with various issues, including pollution, marine litter, unplanned coastal developments, and overfishing. This shows an example that whatever we are doing inland impacts our coasts and seas that connect our nations to oceans of neighboring regions and continents. The issues of the bay cannot be addressed by one province, one municipality, one community alone, but we are now moving towards addressing it in a united manner, in an integrated manner, taking into consideration the watersheds that drain into the bay, as well as the activities in the surrounding communities, cities, and municipalities. So here, our biodiversity is where our conservation efforts lie as a region. I am glad some lessons on these subjects will be shared, and will be learned from this 18th meeting. It is hoped that this meeting will eventually come up with a common understanding and a collective statement of concern and call for action that can be elevated this year in other ASEAN bodies, such as the ASEAN, for support and adoption. The recommended ways forward for the ASEAN Working Group on Coastal and Marine Environment hopefully will be enshrined in the ASPEN, or the ASEAN Strategic Plan for the Environment. which is currently being drafted as our blueprint or roadmap to the 2025 vision of the ASEAN socio-cultural community. A roadmap that engages and benefits the people, that is inclusive, sustainable, resilient, and dynamic, and reflects what is truly ASEAN. So again, welcome all of you. We look forward to a very productive meeting in the next 2 days. Good morning, and I wish us success and to all of you, a pleasant stay in the Philippines.
To formally introduce our keynote speaker, is Attorney Jonas R. Leones. He is the current Undersecretary for Policy, Planning, and International Affairs of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. A forester and lawyer by training, he rose from the ranks, and prior to taking the sabbatical to pursue a Master in Public Management at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, National University of Singapore, and the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, he was a director and designated as the head executive assistant to the Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. He also, aside from being a dedicated government employee, he is also a part-time faculty member at the New Era University College of Law, where he teaches subjects on environment, land, and agrarian reform laws. So now, our keynote speaker, Undersecretary Jonas R. Leones.
A pleasant good morning to the distinguished delegates. It is my honor and privilege to deliver to you the keynote message of our Minister, Minister Roy Cimatu. This could have been his first official speaking engagement because he was just recently appointed by our President as Minister of the Environment Department. But due to some pressing concern that he needs to attend to, as directed by our President, he conveys his sincere apology for not gracing this occasion. So please allow me, distinguished delegates, to read the keynote message of our Minister, Minister Cimatu. The Chair of the ASEAN Working Group on Coastal and Marine Environment, Dr. Mondita S. Lim, distinguished leaders of the ASEAN Working Group on Coastal and Marine Environment, members of the Philippine delegation, the business community, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I thank the ASEAN Working Group on Coastal and Marine Environment and its chair for the opportunity to participate as a speaker in this year's meeting. This meeting is of great importance to our country as it plays a role in charting the path for ASEAN community over the next 10 years. We shall be forging the roadmap through the ASEAN Strategic Plan of Action, which articulates ASEAN goals and aspirations to realize further consolidation, integration, and stronger cohesiveness of ASEAN member states as a community. I would like to emphasize the focus we are now giving on biodiversity conservation. The ASEAN region contains 18% of the plants and animals and is home to 3 of the 17 known mega-diverse countries, namely Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. ASEAN alone already has 1/3 or 86,025 square kilometers of all known coral reefs in the world. 60% of tropical peatlands are in Southeast Asia, which is about 23 million hectares. We have numerous endemic and rare endangered species and unique ecosystem services, storing more than 80 billion tons of carbon in forests, contributing significantly to the livelihoods of a substantial number of people. And crucial at this point, we have to acknowledge the immense threat these rich biodiversity in our region are confronted with. Thus, addressing these threats, ASEAN connectivity is all the more imperative at this point. The haze from the forest and plantation areas raged from time to time and crosses borders, affecting not just one country or two countries. The effects of illegal harvesting of giant clams, particularly in the Philippines, has adverse consequences affecting even beyond our country's territorial waters. Giant clams do not only provide food and shelter, they also reap builders and shapers. In this era of climate change onslaught, the corals dying through bleaching resulting from acidification need these giant clams to regenerate. Connectivity among ASEAN ecosystems plays an important role in larval dispersion. A school of fish may lay eggs in one place, but throughout their life cycle, they may migrate from one nation to another in our interconnected waters. This year, our country will host the 12th meeting of the Conference of Parties to the Convention of Migratory Species of Wildlife Animals, or CMS. The CMS is the only global intergovernmental treaty established exclusively for the conservation and management of terrestrial, marine, and avian migratory species throughout their range. The Philippines is so far the only ASEAN country party to the conventions. And in this regard, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you all, my fellow Asian members, to be part of the CMS as well. Many of our migratory species are facing extinction. If we can come together and work within the CMS framework, we can actively ensure the strict protection of these species. We need to prohibit the taking of such species, conserve and restore their habitats, remove obstacles to their migration, and control other factors that might endanger them. Fellow ASEAN members, may I also enjoin you all to ensure that we move together to effectively implement our strategic plan of action. For an ASEAN to be a global player, we must ensure our contribution to the ASEAN Vision 2025 will be realized through the strategic priorities we have identified in our plan of action, namely nature conservation and biodiversity, coastal and marine environment, water resources management, sustainable cities, climate change, chemicals and waste, environmental education, and sustainable consumptions and production. ASEAN needs strong resolve and action to confront the challenges it may face in the next decades. Environmental issues are multidisciplinary and cross-sectoral in nature, resulting in some of the most difficult, complex problems that we need to address. These are pressing and urgent concerns for all of us. As I quote the words of our President, "We shall not be cowed. We will press on. We must redouble our efforts to concentrate in making ASEAN inclusive, sustainable, resilient, and dynamic." End of quote. Our efforts must continue to engage and benefit all ASEAN communities. Ours is a fragile world. We now recognize this, and we shall robustly and staunchly defend our natural heritage. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Thank you very much, and good morning to all of you.
Thank you, Yusek Leones, for the keynote speech. At this junction, may we request everyone to for a traditional family photo. First is the head of the delegations together with our chair and our keynote speaker, to be followed by all of the delegates.